Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pits in the Flood for the Win, the home of the Hall of the Very Good. You can see this fellow next to me. He's my guest for the night. We're going to talk a number of things, but this is Jeff from A Fine Card Collector, who, as you saw from my last video, he did me up really, really well, man, with the with the flips. I'm just blown away. I had so much fun. Can't begin to tell you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's why it's so fun for me because I did the same thing for Rob over at Bucks and Six, and he's been just texting me and showing me how much fun he's been having, and like him just like that's what makes it worth it, right? Is like I literally want to help out as many people as I can, right? Anybody that, and I'm not doing it for any purpose or reason. It's fun. Like for me, I get to I've never been creative, right, in like my work or anything. And so since I started my channel and, starting to learn to like edit my videos and, do things like that, right? Like edit your thumbnail. And, it's like you start getting creative. And then I started doing my own flips, for my Mag Pros. And it's just like the more I get to do it, the better I get and the more I get to learn and explore. And so it's a lot of fun. And like I said, with Rob and you guys like texting me all these photos, and Rob's just been saying how much fun he's been having. And it's like the most fun in this past 2 weeks with all these different color variation flips is like the most fun he's had in a long time. And so that for me is what makes it worth it. That right there.
Well, I don't think you or me or anybody in this, whatever you want to call this community, we'll just call it
Mhm.
community,
Yeah.
could have ever expected to have as many friendships as we have in such a short period of time, because you're
Yeah.
connecting with people all over and people are real positive and everything. And, that was one of the main reasons I did it. But one of the main reasons I did it, and this will flow into what we're going to talk about next, is
Yeah.
I decided I want to make these videos not for people who love baseball cards, not even for me, but for my grandchildren. And I was thinking one day, because we have this platform now, is when my time is up, if they want to have a few minutes with grandpa, all I got to do is go click.
Yep.
And I thought about this week because, as everybody knows, we lost a really good member of the community, Steve Miller from Steve Rev's Cards. And I was actually, tomorrow or the next day, we were going to do a collaboration. And
Oh man.
we had talked about doing something together. But what a cool dude. But what we found out this week is this community is just not about cards. It's not about stuff you might think. It was truly everybody came and have done so many wonderful things. The money that was raised, you're the one who told me, we immediately got on and realized there was a GoFundMe, and we
Hmm.
told a few people, and the word got out and everybody got on there and contributed. And then the video started rolling in this past week, and you've seen all kinds of stuff, and you're like, that's what makes this community so awesome, is that in a I saw it last year with uh, Orlando and what he
Yep.
went through, and here we saw it with somebody who passed way too soon, 45 years old, with 4 kids, but also his kids now can sit down and watch their dad or
Yeah.
watch these videos. His wife, when she needs a moment, she can hear his voice. And he doesn't, and no one realizes this at the time, but he left them a gift. He left them all a gift, in that they still get a few minutes if they want it. If they ever want it, they're just a click away. And I just think that's awesome. That's the first thing I thought of when that happened.
Yeah, I mean that's very well put. And what I would give, thankfully my dad is still around. My mom's not around, and I do have some, some old like VHS, stuff from like the '80s, right, of my mom when I was a kid and stuff. But I mean, yeah, what I would give, if my mom or even let's say my grandpa, because my grandparents aren't around anymore either, if I had, and it wouldn't matter what the topic is, right? But if, my grandpa, if he collected Matchbox cars and that was his hobby and that's what made him excited and passionate, it's like what I would give to be able to watch videos of him talking about Matchbox cards, even though I have no interest in them, right? Um, but just to see his passion and just to, you feel like you're with him and connecting with him, you know? And so, yeah, it's a very, very good point, is that, you know, when our time is up, you know, at least we have this, right? It's, you know, something where our family can go back and watch this. And again, it doesn't matter what it's about. They're going to see us talking and be excited and passionate about something. Um, so yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, because there's gonna his kids are gonna need it at some point.
Yeah.
His wife's gonna need it. I would need it. I assume anybody else would. So, and that's the
Or,
cool thing is that now I'm gonna collect a 76 top set. I just started. I actually bought my first 100
oh, nice,
yesterday.
nice.
As an homage, and picked up a
Hmm.
Manny Sanguian rookie card. I had
Nice.
one, but I forgot to replace it, and so
That's on my
yeah,
list.
yeah. So I mean, I think he's, people like that are never forgotten if they truly touched you. But just think about this man who was in reality in our lives for about 11 months at the most for some
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
even then it took a while before you got to know him, right? Um, and you think of how somebody like that has touched all of our lives, and those that did tributes and talked about him, and that was just in brief conversations over cardboard, and yet it was still it was meant to be, and there's a reason,
Yeah.
and we don't get to know it now, but we all needed to meet this guy.
Yeah, and that's what's just really funny about this community, is that how little time you could actually be involved, and how many lives you impact, and how close of friendships you make, you know. And what's funny is that you brought up, Orlando, and you were talking about what he went through last year, and we're obviously talking about Steve. And you can go back and watch, one of my first videos. But Orlando, so when Orlando came out with his video talking about his cancer diagnosis and that he had to have surgery, and how important it was for him to put that video out to the community, because of how much this community means to him.
Right.
Between that video and actually Rev Steve, or Steve Miller, his first video, um, those two videos were the final, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back for me to start my videos, because I saw Orlando's video, and I've thought about doing my channel for years, right? I've watched sports card related YouTube videos since probably, I want to say 2010, 2011, since way back then. And Orlando, and I've wanted to do it for a long time, but I had a career that was really stressful and time consuming, and I just didn't have the time for it. But Orlando's video, watching that, well, I changed careers, right? And then shortly after I saw Orlando's video, and I was like, God, like, this community is such a great place. It's like, what am I doing not being a part of it, right? Like, I don't have any friends that really collect. I have like one friend that collects cards outside of the YouTube community. And I was like, what am I doing? Why don't I get in this? And then I saw Steve's video, and it was his introduction video, and it was talking about how he was going to Strongsville, and there was a bunch of guys he knew, but nobody was going to know him. And that's exactly how I felt earlier that year when I went to the National, right? There was a few guys I saw at the National that I knew from YouTube, but I just didn't want to go up to them and say hi. Like, I just felt that was kind of awkward. And so I was telling myself then, like, I need to create a video so at least I can get myself out there. And hopefully, some of these guys see me, and we get to know each other, and blah blah blah. So, but when I saw Steve's video, it was like, I'm doing it. And so less than a month later, I put out my first video, and it is just incredible. I've been on here maybe 10 months, I think, actually almost 11 months now. But it is incredible the friendships I made. And I remember, you said this in your video with Tyler, but it's just like you had said, you've gotten so many phone numbers and friends in this community, probably
Yeah.
more than you have in real life.
Oh, without doubt. It's not even close.
Yeah, and it's just like it's incredible, and it's just a place where it's full of positivity. There's a lot of obviously negative, that goes around and blah blah blah, but not between the people.
No,
The people are wonderful here and so open and friendly and just willing to pass their numbers out, give addresses out, and send care packages, and it's just, I mean, it's the most fun I've had in the hobby. Since I've been in it, again back as an adult, which was since about 2008. So it's incredible. It's really an incredible place, and it's there's a lot of love here.
yeah, I mean, I feel like I went back to being a kid again and got all these people I can collect with. That's
Yeah,
just basically I look at it as a giant collecting group, and people are positive, and almost everybody that we seem to kind of you know move toward, married, kids, careers, and just this is what they do to enjoy life,
yeah.
is to collect. And I did I did tell Tyler, I said, I don't know, I saw that, when he interviewed Tony from Southern Collector, and when he said he didn't hunt or fish and he lived in Tennessee, I thought they're going to revoke his license. Like, how can you live there and not do that? That's part of that culture.
You're gonna kick them out of that state.
I know, it's pretty funny. So, but
But
yeah, so I mean, that's been there's been the sad part of Steve, but there's also been this outpouring that you see that is, guy, just so, especially in the time we're living right now, where there's a lot of chaos and
yeah,
crap going on in the world,
yeah,
to see people put all that aside and just think of a human being, and how it affected each person in its own way, whatever that was, whether it was today Lou talking about having a heart attack at 42, or somebody else losing a loved one at a young age, or whatever it was.
yeah,
It's just, you know we don't need this to be better people, but it sure in hell helps.
yeah.
We should be better people without needing, this put in us. But it also reminds us to make sure you tell your kids and your wife and everybody you love them, and don't leave any stone unturned. Don't leave people hanging. Just check in, because they can be here on a Monday and
Yes.
then gone on a Tuesday. It's been 1 week. And, I can't imagine that. I mean, I just celebrated my 39th wedding anniversary. I cannot imagine not being here,
Yeah.
or her not being here,
Yeah.
but look at Father Time's undefeated, dude. We're all going to meet it. It's
Yep.
just, you just,
Hopefully later than sooner.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for the
Yeah, it's
both
tough.
of us,
It
go ahead.
definitely puts things into perspective. That's for sure.
Yeah.
When you have a loss like that, and it was a big loss for me. I mean, Steve, like I said,
Yep.
his video was inspirational for me to start my channel. And what's funny is, when I did my first video, he commented. So he somehow my channel came across his feed, and maybe I probably commented on his video, I would guess, but somehow my video came across his feed, he commented on it, and then it was like right off the bat, that Steve and I connected, and we were friends since the beginning. I consider him, I have like a small group that I consider they're like my original friends here. There's
Right.
probably 4 or 5 of them that are like, my original friends here, who, and he was just one of them. Like, I went to college and joined a fraternity, right? And I have pledge brothers, your little pledge
Right.
group, right? And those guys I still talk to this day. They're some of my closest friends. And so, we all make and build relationships. And I've branched out, and I have I'm friends with so many other guys here in the community. But there's that small group at the beginning that feels special, because they were there right at the beginning, and they supported your channel right at the beginning. And when you had questions and things, you wanted to ask, that you felt like you can go to those guys. So it was extra difficult, and then of course your relationship builds outside of here. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was, it's tough, but that's life, and we all have to unfortunately move on, but we just don't forget.
No, I mean, that's the thing, is you still got to get up and go to work and do your thing. But to his wife and to the 4 kids, if you watch any of this, please let us, just from our hearts, all we can say is, we feel for you. We wish we could fix it, but just know that we care and that
Yep,
we thought the world of your dad and your husband, and he was a wonderful dude, and we will
he
miss
was.
him, but we won't forget him. There'll
No,
be
we will
videos
not.
where we all will talk about him in more of a fun, reminder of the Pittsburgh Pirate fan who loved his Manny Sanguian.
Well, yeah, and Adam, I guess is probably a good point, just or a good place to mention this. But as I had like created Steve
Yep.
some Mag Pro labels, right? So, and we've talked about that in a text chain and whatever else. But if there's anybody out there that wants because Steve was really excited about the whole Mag Pro thing. He had not bought any Mag Pros yet, but him and I were working together with creating him some labels, and he came up with a few designs. Um, but there's two of them that I'm going to run with. And so if there's anybody out there that, does the Mag Pro thing and was close with Steve and would like, a couple of Steve's labels, I'm happy to send them out, right? I'll just throw them in a card saver, send them in a plain, white envelope or whatever. But I printed a bunch out, but these are basically, his labels, right? His little homage to the Pirates, and then just his channel, if you could see him.
Right.
But
Yeah.
again, I got a bunch printed, so I know there's some guys that want them. And so, for the guys that are going to, Strongsville or so, I'm gonna bring these with me. But if there's anybody that's not going that wants some, Adam, you're not going to Strongsville, right? So
No, I'm not gonna be
um
able to.
so I'll definitely send you a couple of these, right?
Yep.
And you could do what you want. And again, it's just something to remember Steve by here in the community. You can throw a Mag Pro or
I
two
already
with,
bought a couple cards to put in them. I'm ready.
yeah. And then also, Brent Richards and I are doing something a little more special. And Brent's talked about it on his channel, and he's going to do another video talking about it. But we're actually going to supply some Mag Pros. We're having a more custom label made for Steve, and Brent has a special picture. I'm not going to give it away, but he has something he's doing with a photo, and so we're going to give that away. So it's going to be this photo, and it's going to be this a special Mag Pro label and the Mag Pro itself. And I'm going to be giving those away at Strongsville. And then Brent's going to make sure he gets that out to people who want one that are not going to Strongsville. Those folks may not get the Mag Pro with it because, shipping costs, when you start getting into bubble mailers can get expensive. But, but again, Brent will talk about that, but I wanted to mention it here as well.
Yeah,
And
no, I appreciate it, Jeff.
yeah, I
Appreciate
thought
it.
that was a good place to say that. So
Yeah, no. There's going to be a number of things going on at Strongsville that are going to show Steve a lot of love, and
yeah,
I wish I could go. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it, but
yeah,
that. So when you go there, have fun. Do what Steve would have done, which is collect cards and buy
oh
cards
yeah,
and have
oh
a
yeah,
good time. And there'll be time to get a couple of these trinkets that people are bringing down and are doing. And um, I think it's a cool thing that you started with wanting to trade your Mag Pros, because what it's got a lot of people thinking is, now we all want Steve's, right? Because
yeah,
we want to remember him. And
yeah,
I think we'll see a lot more trading going on of Mag Pros over the coming years, because I think a lot of people will say, well, I'd really like to, I love the show, and I want to have a couple of his his things. And I think
yeah.
I think you started something that's really cool that can connect us all if we wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do it because guys would hand out their channel cards, and that's great,
Right.
and I want those too. But I just had a lot more fun with Mag Pros, and I've seen guys that had channel with Mag Pros, and I'm a huge fan of Mag Pros. I know you are as well,
Oh,
and
I
so it
love
was
it.
just like one of those things where it's like, hey, maybe instead of because I know not everybody has channel cards or whatever. I think there's more people that probably have Mag Pro labels, and so I was just like, hey, I want to start trading these, and that's what I want to do. And yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. Whether it catches on and others want to do it or not, it's a lot of fun for me, and it's nice. When I look at in my videos when I have that display case behind me,
Yeah.
it's nice for me to see that and just it just it just reminds me of all the guys in the community, you know, in the channels, and like the story with trading Mag Pro labels, you know what I mean? And like the cards some guys sent, again, I don't, I tell everybody, don't send me any cards, right? Just send me your label. I will put a card in the label that represents you and what you collect, because but there are guys like yourself who sent a couple cards with it. And so that's always great. But whatever it is, it's just really nice for me, and I feel part of the community, and have representing friends in the community. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, I just think it encourages also people to redesign their Mag Pro and get labels. Like I had one done and I didn't even have my channel name in it. I thought, why do I not have my channel name in my Mag Pros? But it was the first iteration. It's
Yeah.
actually my third iteration, to be honest with you. But I just think Mag Pros are great. I like cards and slabs, and I also like them in Mag Pro.
Yeah.
So
I'm the same way.
yeah. So by the way, again, nice pickup. Nice pickup.
Oh, thank
You
you.
got with Gretzky. I right when you're sitting there, you're building it up, you're doing, you're building it, you're building. I'm like, okay, what could it be? I'm literally trying to think, like, I don't know you well enough yet. I mean, we're friends,
Right.
but we're still newbies.
And I've
So
never
I'm
showed a
thinking,
hockey card on my
like,
channel.
well, you don't, and you don't seem like a person that would collect hockey, but also understand you love sports and you love
Yeah.
big events and big people and Hall of Famers. So the Gretzky card makes perfect sense. But when that came up, I'll be honest with you, that wasn't even in my head.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, maybe it went with this and not the Aaron. And
Well, what's funny is if you actually go, like, if you go back to the video, like I'm sure most people, I don't think anybody really pays attention, which is probably a good thing, but it's like my intro, right? That, like, I have like a little clip at the beginning of all my videos.
right.
So there's a little intro, right? Well, in this video, I put a clip behind it. So if you go back and watch, so ultimately, yes, I recorded the video, right? And then the whole thing was supposed to be kind of like a little build up. And that wasn't the intent. The intent wasn't to build the whole thing up, but there's a story
Right.
behind it. So I'm not just going to bust the card out after a minute. That's boring. So I
Right.
tell the story on why it's important to me and blah, blah, blah. And then I show the card, right? And, it took 10 minutes for me to get there and show it, but whatever.
No, I thought it
And
was great. Well, I thought the story and the way you did it was perfect.
well,
I
good.
just was not expecting that card. I just wasn't.
So then when I was adding my intro to it, I actually recorded. I took a clip off of YouTube of
Okay.
Wayne Gretzky skating, right, and so I put it in the background of my intro. So at the very
Oh, I didn't even
beginning,
notice.
yeah, I don't. I think most people don't, but if you go back to my video and watch just the 10-second intro or whatever it is, you'll see Wayne Gretzky skating in the background. And so part of me was like, I don't know if I should do that, because ultimately I give it away. But I've gotten comments and guys were telling me like, oh man, I was trying to guess the whole time on what it was going to be, and I was way off, and this and that. And I had another comment that was really funny. One guy commented and he was just like, thank God it's a Wayne Gretzky. Like, he was like, I thought it was going to be some ultra modern $10,000, like, some one of one stupid
Yeah.
ultra modern card. But he
Yeah.
was just like, thank God it ended up being a Wayne Gretzky, So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, just yeah, I mean, I talk about it in my video. I don't need to talk about it here. But it was an important card for me. I like iconic cards. I collect different things, of course, iconic cards being one of them. But there's more of a story to that card, than just that, it being iconic, right? There's a tie back to my childhood, and just always a card that I wanted. And so, yeah, I've owned it before, and I saw that example. I couldn't, I, I thought about it for a day. I kept thinking about it. I was like, I have to try to pull the trigger on this thing. And
Nice.
luckily it worked out.
It did. It's great. It's great. So one of the questions is, you've been in collecting for a long time, but like you said, you kind of got back into it. What made you get back into it, and what time period are we talking that you kind of laid low or didn't do much?
So as a kid, I probably collected, I want to say like 88 through 94. And I remember 94 because I think I was in 8th grade, about to go to high school, maybe like very beginning of 8th grade, kind of it stopping. And then, life and girls and all that kind of stuff entered the picture. And so, so that kind of stopped. And then I started again in 2000, I think it was 2008 as an adult. And so, my wife and I, we were both born and raised in Chicago, and we moved out to LA together. My wife actually had a job offer, and coming out to California was always something, I think a lot of Midwesterners dream about or whatever. And so we had the opportunity because my wife had a job offer. So we did, we moved to LA, and, we were living in LA, and one day just at Target, right? And you always see that aisle of packs and those blasters and all that kind of stuff. And so one day I was just like, I'm going to buy a couple packs for old time's sake, and sure enough, I bought a few packs, and I was opening them up. And that feeling that you get of opening packs and what you may pull and inserts and all that just like rushed over me again. And I think I was pretty much hooked instantly. I mean, it may not have been that exact time. Maybe the next trip to Target the following week or the week after, I bought a few more packs. And then I started really thinking about it. And I was like, man, I wonder what some of these cards that I had, and I still had a little of my collection, right? From
Okay.
like when I was a kid. And I started going back and I started looking that stuff up on eBay. And again, this was 2008. And so that's right after that, the big, you don't call it the recession, right? There's
Right.
whatever it was, that 2008 thing, the housing market crisis and blah,
Right.
blah, blah. But I mean, cards were cheap. And I remember looking up cards that I could have only have dreamt of having back in the 90s or late 80s, like the Jose Canseco 86 Donruss rated rookie, and the Don Mattingly 84 Donruss rookie, and just some of these cards from the 80s that just felt I would never own in my life were dirt cheap. I could pick them up for a few bucks. And so I started buying that stuff on eBay. And then, I found a local card shop, pretty nice card shop. It was Beverly Hills Baseball Cards. I think they're still there, but really great guys there. And so they would work with me on prices and stuff in there. And so I was buying up all these old 80s rookie cards that I could have only have dreamt of having back then. And then it just evolved, and then was I I have not been collecting since then. I've mentioned this before, but like I would collect, and then it started getting into more. Then I learned about grading and buying graded cards, and I was buying bigger cards and accumulating some value in my collection. And at that point, we didn't own a home. We were still renting in LA. And it would get to a certain point after a few years where I would see the value in my collection, and I would be like, what am I doing here sitting on this much money in cards when we don't even own a house yet?
Right.
So then I would end up selling it off, right? And then I would stop for like maybe 6 months, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna get back into it, but I'm only gonna focus on like just the cheaper 80s ungraded stuff that I love. And then I start buying stuff again, and then it evolves and it evolves, and then all of a sudden I got a expensive collection again, and it's like I still need a house. So then I would sell it all off. So that was a pattern through the 2010s, right? And then we ended up buying our house here in 2021. And then since then I've just been buying, right? And so I don't have that guilt of buying cards anymore, and amassing of money or some value in cards, right? And so I'm just having a lot of fun with it now.
Yeah. What made you like you've targeted some pretty cool vintage cars. Like there are specific things that your taste gets a little higher and higher of things that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Because you want to go after now. Probably a year ago or 2 years ago might have been I just want the 60 Hank Aaron. Well, now I want the rookie. I want to get it.
Yeah.
And but what made you get back into vintage, and then what made you look at it seems like a lot of your cards, not all of them, but a lot of your cards are iconic cards, that there's a purpose. It seems like you have a real purpose in your collecting.
Yeah, well, I think probably like everybody, right, is like when you get back into collecting, you're buying the stuff that you're buying the stuff that you love, that's nostalgic, and so again, for me, it was like the 80s, some 90s stuff, but a lot of 80s stuff. And then, it was like when I was watching baseball and collecting cards, I was collecting players, like Ozzie Smith and Robin Yount and, George Brett and Nolan Ryan and all of these guys, right? And so, they were all around in the 80s. And so, then it's like I always loved rookie cards. So I started going back and buying rookie cards of those guys. And, you start just amassing rookie cards from the 70s and, like the Nolan Ryan rookie card. That has some significance to me or some nostalgia to me as well, because there was just a story about it, in my not my hometown, but uh, where I lived in, I think it was third grade. There was a Nolan Ryan. There was a big news about this Nolan Ryan that was sold. It had a sticker price for, I think it was $1,200 or $1,400 in a card shop. And somebody was filling in for the day, working behind the counter, and they ended up selling it for $12 or $14 to somebody. And again, this was back in, probably 1990, 89, 90, 91, somewhere in there. And so there was just this aura around a Nolan Ryan rookie. And so I always wanted one. And, that again, as collecting and as adult, I collect all the stuff that I'm nostalgic about, but I also like the idea of having just a really nice collection,
Right.
and I appreciate I appreciate collections of any kind, right? Whether, you collect, you know, whatever other sort of things out there, like I mentioned before, Matchbox cars, or, other types of memorabilia or stamps or coins or whatever anybody collects, postcards, pictures, whatever. Um, I can appreciate any type of collection, and I like a nice quality collection. There's just something about it to me that I just speaks to me. And so when I think of a nice collection of cards, and I've always loved rookie cards. And so probably early since, 2010, 2011, I've always went after the Hall of Fame players, post-war rookies registry set by PSA. And so I just love Hall of Fame rookie cards. And I feel like that's kind of, I don't know if centralized is the right word, but it's kind of narrow enough to where it keeps me focused on that. And there's not a crazy amount of cards. It's narrow enough. And I mean, who doesn't want a Hall of Fame rookie card?
Right.
And so that's always, and I've noticed every time, like I mentioned, when I would sell off my collection and then start buying again, that would always be, once I decide to start getting nice stuff again, that would always be my first go-to was Hall of Fame players, post-war rookies. That would always be a theme in my collecting over the years. And so, I'm still doing it, and I have everything from current to through the 70s, or no, through the 60s. So I'm just working in the 50s right now. And obviously it's a much slower process now in the 50s, because there's a lot of big cards in it.
A
I
lot,
picked,
a lot of big 4 and 5 figure cards in there. I
yeah,
mean, just
yeah. I mean, realistically, I feel like there are cards, probably the Mantle rookie, and who knows, a Mays rookie, Eddie Matthews rookie, some of that stuff. Maybe I never get. I'd like to think eventually I could. It wouldn't be something I'm necessarily paying out of pocket. My wife would never let me spend that kind of money on a card, right?
right,
But it would be something like I've done recently, right? With like the Gretzky, I didn't that money didn't come out of pocket, right? I mean, it
right.
did eventually, but it was like I saved that money over time, because I ended up selling 21 cards to get the bulk of it. And then I threw in a little bit extra money as well for it. So if I ever acquire that stuff, it's going to be through, selling some of this stuff off to acquire that. But who knows? I'm content with not owning some of those big ones.
Right.
But ideally, I'd like them all.
Yeah, I hear you. So, since when you're talking like that, that makes sense. That's the only way I can do it. I don't have a
Yeah,
budget of $1,000 or anything like that. My budget's really small.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
do you ever look when you're looking on eBay or you're looking at something, or you see a lot? Do you think of and go, I don't need that for me, but I need that for another card because I think there's a lot of value there. Do you ever buy stuff hoping or knowing that you're getting it at such a good deal that you can turn around, either get it graded and get more money out of it so that you can put that in another card, or you just simply look at your collection?
Yeah, I don't seek that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't seek that out. Yeah, everything I buy, I think I just want for my collection. I don't look at, of course, I'd like to say, hey, if I get a good enough deal, I'll buy anything, right? I'll buy anything if the deal's good enough, right? But yeah, I don't seek that stuff out. I just buy what I want, and my, like everybody, my collection changes over time. My tastes, I've mentioned this before, but a lot of those cards, like the 21 that I sold, I was also working on. There was a few collections I wanted to do. So I was doing the Hall of Fame players, post-war rookies. I was doing the 100 great cards of the 1980s because I just love the 1980s.
I do
And
too.
so, and so
I
I
do
was
too.
there is a collection of uh, the 100 great cards of the 1980s. And then, no, it's called the top 100 cards of the 1980s. It's also a list compiled by Mike Payne, the same guy from Beckett who
Who
does
did the 300?
the 300. And so I was also doing that, right? And so I was kind of working my way back, doing the 90s stuff and 80s and 70s and 60s, and I was trying to go decade by decade, so I stayed narrow focused. And so, but then I just decided, as I would look through my cards, there would just be a lot of that stuff that just doesn't do it for me, right? And I'm just like,
Right?
I'm buying this stuff because I'm just trying to complete this list of stuff, but it's just not stuff that I really, really like. And so I've eliminated all that. So I'm not doing any of that anymore, except for the Hall of Fame players, post-war rookies, because I love all that. I love Hall of Fame rookie cards. That's never going to end or go away for me. And so that's my focus. And so the other thing too with me is how I was kind of okay with getting rid of that stuff, because there was stuff that I really loved in there, like some, a 70 tops Johnny Bench and the 72 tops Clemente, and that's just a couple examples, but there's a lot of stuff I really, really liked in that. But what I've kind of noticed about myself, and I've gotten inspired by some other guys in the community, is like I like to think of myself eventually as being kind of a minimalist collector. I'm not the type of guy that wants a huge collection that fills a room and I have player runs of everybody. For me, if I have the rookie card of a player, I'm content. I don't need any other cards for the most part. There might be a few examples, right? But if I have the rookie card of said player, that's really all I need of that player. And then what I'm also thinking is that, like, and I might do this with some other sports that I want to go after, some Hall of Fame cards. It's like I'm just going to pick until I can get the rookie card. I might collect my favorite card of theirs, and that's my representation of that player in my collection. And then as soon as I can obtain the rookie card, then it's like, well, then I can, whatever I can, if I want to let that go, or save up a bunch of stuff that I picked up the rookie cards for, and sell those to pick up something bigger, I do that. But yeah, I think that's just kind of the way I collect. And of course, that's not with everything, right? I have other little collections that I do where I have a lot of it, like my 2016 Chicago Cubs collection that
Right.
I'm doing. It's like there's a lot of little things in there, but that's more nostalgic stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that makes sense. I mean, but I know that you showed a hockey card. Do you
Mhm.
collect basketball and football too, or is there
Yeah.
just
Um,
again just looking for the main rookies or
so with basketball, what I collect in basketball right now is I've always been a Jordan collector, right? And I don't collect Michael Jordan because he's the GOAT, right? I wish he wasn't, because his card prices are insane, like
yes they are,
insane.
even for a
And
common.
yeah, and I'm lucky because I have a ton from when I was a kid, and so I have a pretty good collection from when I was a kid, a lot of 90s insert stuff. But I don't buy a lot of it anymore just because it's so expensive. And so I do collect Jordan. Every now and then I pick up some stuff of his, and I've showed some stuff. And I'm doing like a little, like my 2016 Chicago Cubs. I'm doing a 90s Bulls collection and
Nice.
Chicago Bulls, just because, they were growing up in Chicago, right? I mean, they were just unbelievable in the 90s. And so I have a lot of nostalgia tied to all those players. And so I'm just buying certain cards of those players. I want to get all of their autos, all of that stuff. And so I collect that. It's very 90s Bulls. It's Michael Jordan. I do eventually want to get into a lot more of the, to be honest, I don't really care a whole lot about early 70s, 60s stuff. There's a lot of great cards out there. I'm more 80s, 90s for me, like more
Okay.
nostalgia stuff. And, some of the 86 Fleer, some of the rookies in that 86 Fleer set. I want to get that stuff, but it's not a priority now. And then football, same thing. I love football. I love 80s football, some 70s football. I love, some 90s football. But again, not a huge priority right now. I'm doing like the Super Bowl 20, the Chicago Bears 85 team, 86 Super Bowl winning team.
Right.
I'm doing a collection of them. I'm buying like all their rookies and stuff like that. But again, not top of my. I'm not focused on it now. And then the same thing with hockey. That's the least of my focuses. But the Gretzky was always on the top of my list. I did a video, maybe 5 months ago, that and a lot of people did. So initially, Mike over at Baseball Collector had put a video out about his top 10 cards he wants to acquire before he dies, right? Or before he's done collecting. And so a lot of other people have, kind of jumped on that and did their videos. And so in that video, I had said the Wayne Gretzky rookie is a top 10 card for me. And so, and the Wayne Gretzky also was a card that is in the back, not a card I talked about a lot, but was in the back of my mind that if I go to Strongsville and I pick up one big card, I might want to pick up a lower grade Gretzky OPC rookie as well. Well, so I ended up just buying one. I bought a higher grade than I had intended, but I couldn't pass up on it. It was way too beautiful. And so, yeah. So again, hockey's not something that I talk about on my channel or is a focus at all. I don't think I've ever shown a hockey card on my channel, except for maybe some gifts that I've gotten. But the Gretzky was always there. It was always a top 10 card for me. And so I bought that. But now, I've been texting with some other guys here, Shane, Shoebox Legends. I know you're friends with him too. But
Yep.
him and I actually were texting today. And we were talking about that, and we were going back and forth, and he was showing me some of the hockey cards he's picked up, some of the 80s
Oh,
rookies stuff. And I was like, so I've started looking at the 80s rookie hockey stuff, and I'm like, I need to add this stuff to my eBay saved search list, and I need to put a list together because I want some hockey stuff. So we'll see. But
yeah.
baseball is mostly the focus right now.
Yeah. I just picked up a Scott Stevens and Phil Housley OPC rookies.
Oh,
Two
nice.
of my favorite defensemen of that era.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm going back from 70 on up. I'd
Yep.
like to go back in the 50s and 60s, but that'll be down the line. I love collecting hockey, so I collect.
Yeah, and
I've got stacks here.
Yeah, I see a lot of the guys like yourself, Rob Bucks and Six. There's Matt, who's newer here. I'm not sure if you're Matt. Most adequate collection.
Yep.
Most adequate
Just found
collection.
Yep.
I think. Jay, average vintage collector. Ken's cardboard, and then of course Shane. And there's more. But those guys are just names that come off the top of my head. But big hockey guys, and when I watch their channels, it's like, man, I want to get into hockey more,
Yep.
So
yeah, I
we'll see.
just got a couple of these back. You might have seen these. It's the Lou Hudson.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
But that's what I've been picking up. Hal Greer is one of my favorite guards. I actually watched him play.
Nice.
So I've been going back and getting some of the 69, 70, and 70, 71, the tall boys.
Yep.
I just picked up Norm Van Leer and Jerry Sloan, the backcourt for the Bulls.
Oh yeah.
They were a great backcourt. Two of the most locked down guards to ever play the game. I mean, every point you got on them, you earned.
Yeah. That's a beautiful set. I mean, it's again, something I'd like to get into eventually, but God, I got so many. I feel like I'm focused in these 50s here, right? But that's all more expensive stuff. And I have to find little avenues to buy cheaper stuff along the way, while in between buying the bigger stuff. And so, yeah, I think that might be what it is, is picking up some 80s, football Hall of Fame rookie cards and 80s hockey Hall of Fame rookie cards and things like that.
The 86 Fleer set is one where I'm starting to go back and pick up the rookies that I want out of there. Like I want to Clyde Drexler is one of my favorite players. So
Yeah.
I want the Clyde, I want the Julius Irving, I want a few of the other ones. I don't need the Jordan. Most everything else is somewhat attainable.
Yeah.
Because they're, even though it's 86, you find a lot more in that 86 Fleer basketball of grades as low as 2s all the ways up to 10. Where if you go look at 86 tops, most of the times it's 6, 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s or whatever.
Yeah.
In baseball. But for some reason in Fleer, because of that centering, man, I've seen 4 really nice corners, but the centering is so bad that it's a 2.
Yeah.
So you can actually pick up a cheaper 86 rookie than you would in almost any other set of the 80s because of that fact that you're going to be able to get a lot of different number ranges if you want to buy it in a slab.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
Which on the 86 or any of the Star stuff, it's hard to, like, I love the Star Company stuff, but I'm gun shy of buying anything that isn't slab because I don't know if it's fake because there's so many people out there.
I know, but you know what? You know what also about that Star stuff? It's like nobody graded it forever because nobody could tell if it was fake or not. Now all of a sudden everybody's grading it. And it's like, well, what changed? How all of a sudden can they tell if it's really? And again, I guess it wouldn't. When we say fake, right? It was because they were able to acquire the machines that actually made those cards, but then they printed them again later, right? So it's literally the same card, but it's just it was printed 8 years later or however many years later. And so it's like, yeah, but I just don't get it. It's like I think Beckett was the only one for years that would grade those things. And now I think
and then they stopped, and the only one that was doing was PSA.
Yeah, so I don't know either, but I like the Stars too. Probably something way, way, way down the road for me. I don't think I'll ever get into that, but I'll take the 86 Fleers and stuff over that.
Yeah, there's too much, Jeff. I mean, what do you you're kind of as defined as I've ever seen of a collector, and you still got like your hands in 9 different cookie jars.
Yeah, I know.
So that's not even what's going on in your head. It's just the mentality is you see so much stuff and you just, especially when you're watching all these shows and I'll see cash cards pull up a Pinson I don't have and I almost want to go out and grab them. Like, dude, where'd you get that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's what makes it fun is he texted me a couple of days ago. Rob did. It goes, I found this, and I was like, oh man, I haven't even seen one of those. And here he is showing me. I'm like, that's what's so cool about this community is you get a text of a guy showing you a card he picked up. I find that awesome.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, again, I've never had that in my life, right? I like we've all said and felt I've collected in a bubble as an adult, from 2008 pretty much till 2021. It was, last year, right? It was all by myself. And then, within the past year, it's like I have all these people I get to share pickups with and talk to and, get to hang out with, at certain events and things like that. It's insane. It's incredible.
Plus you can ask questions. Like if you just got a question, like John Mangini, he knows every set that has ever been out. If I had a question about something that I didn't quite understand, all I do is email him and he'll get back to you like in 20 seconds with a brilliant answer.
Yeah.
Because he's John Mangini, and so, there's so much resource in here that we can use. This community is mostly about us showing our collection, right? That's what we're doing. Or we're collaborating with somebody.
Yep.
But there's a lot of knowledge out there, man. There's tons of knowledge. I mean, if I'm fascinated by Cuban baseball. Mm-hmm. There's stuff I want to collect. I immediately just text Orlando, go, Orlando, what can I find in this player? And he'll give me a list. He'll send me a list like in seconds and go, these are his only cards. Okay, perfect. Gives me, I mean, that's what's so cool about this community.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different guys that collect so many different things, and you can literally find anything out you want to know, because again, there's somebody out there that collects it and
So,
knows
what
about it.
is your strategy now that you've blown quite a bit of your wad?
Well,
On
I really haven't.
Oh, that's right, because you made the trade. So
Yeah,
you're right. So you should still be able to go to Strongsville and seriously look at the
yeah,
2 cards you really want, which
yeah.
is
It's not going to be both.
right.
Which is the 48 Bowman Jackie Robinson, and the 54 tops Hank Aaron.
Do you have,
Um,
Robinson's Leaf or no?
no, but I think that card's like double the price in it may not be
Yes.
double, but it's like in the same grade, right? It's basically like double the price. And so, and you know what? It's not, I personally, I like the 49 Bowman Jackie Robinson better. I think it's a better looking card.
Yes.
And I've owned it before. And that's the thing. I have this tie to when there's something I owned in the past, I want it again. Like I feel I have this like empty feeling of letting certain things go. And the 49 Bowman Jackie Robinson was one of them. And so I've owned it in the past. I've owned it twice actually. I Again, back when prices were way cheap, right? When 2010, 2012 in there, I mean, I think I had a PSA 4, a beautiful PSA 4, centered nicely. Way back then I probably paid under $500 for it. I don't think back then I ever paid over $500 for a card. And so, I paid under $500 for it. And, now in a 4, that's probably it's definitely a $10,000 plus card. So I'll never get that again. And I actually owned one in a 6 shortly after. And I remember the 6, I think I ended up selling it for like $1,500. And,
Yep, yep. Oh,
and
you're breaking my heart, dude.
I
You're
know, I
killing
know.
me.
And
You're
so,
killing
and
me.
I don't need one graded like that. Right.
Right,
Prices
right.
have gone nuts, and I'm looking for like a 1.5 would be perfect. If I could find a nicely centered 1.5, uh, I'd be thrilled with that. So I'm looking for that in a super low grade. I don't think I want a 1. I'm not a 1 guy. I know there's a lot of guys out there that don't care. It's 100% about the card. Um, it's like I'd like to think the same way, but there's just something about there's too much of a variance for me in ones. And again, I know when you're looking at the card, but I want to find like a 1.5 or a 2 and a nice looking 1.5 or a 2. And that's what I want. And then, and
What about
Hank
the
Aaron's,
Aaron?
yeah. And then the Aaron, probably ideally a 3, if I could find a nice, and ideally also like newly graded PSA, right? I think that there is a definite difference in new PSA grades versus their old grades, right?
Oh, without a
And I
doubt.
think they are much stricter. I think you could find I'm finding lower grade cards in 2s and 3s that newly graded that are beautiful. And I can't believe it's a 2 or a 3. And so if I could find like a newly graded 3, but of course and I'm not just focused on the grade, right? It's like it's got to be a nice looking 3, but for price purposes, right?
Yes,
Because different grades have price values, a range. And so
yes.
I would be looking for like a nice eye appeal 3 would be ideal. So, and again, it's not going to be both cards. But I can get one of them, so we'll see if I could find one or not. And if I can't, who knows? It's going to be a bunch of probably random stuff that I may never have thought I would be buying there.
If you had a 3rd card, what would it be? If your first 2
Well,
for some reason are not
yeah,
there, is there something else you have, like
yeah. I think I think the Clemente, a 55 Clemente rookie, would be another good option. I want to pick up a big, because it's like I want to pick up something big that I wouldn't buy otherwise. It's like I want all those cards anyway, and so I want to knock one of those big ones off my list because I don't know when I'm going to have another opportunity to buy one, right? So it's like while I have the money together now for this, I want to get something big. I don't want to buy a bunch of lower end stuff that I could, pick up once a month, fairly easily. want to get some stuff that I'm just not going to be able to buy on a regular basis, you know. So that's the
Yeah,
goal.
the
But
thing is
yeah,
too, you know, you're going to be there with other friends. You're going to meet with a bunch of people, and it's
yeah,
to me. I listen to all the stories, especially Greg. He goes on and on about his banks and how it wasn't the card as much as all the dudes around him, and it felt like this group that bought it and he could share it with everybody, and
yeah,
that's what made it memorable. And I think so many times because the bulk of our cards we're going to buy off of eBay and places like that. It's just
yeah,
the way it is.
yeah.
Um, there isn't too many good shows where I live. I don't know, but there's probably a few for where you
There
live.
are. San Diego holds. I don't go to a lot, you know, but they got the West Coast Card Show here. They got the Burbank show. They got the in Anaheim. There's a pretty big show, and then they do little shows in San Diego. So I have plenty. I never go though. I don't know. I just never go.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So, you know, in this way, that's probably why it'll mean a little bit more special. But I'm just curious if you had something on your mind, like if those two cars aren't there, this is where I'm putting my energy.
Yeah, I mean, it would be some of the again Hall of Fame players, post-war rookies. I'm in the 1950s, so it
Okay.
would be some of those. I mean, also, you know, if I find a 48 Bowman Stan Musial, you know, or Stan Musial or Yogi Berra, right? I pull the trigger on those two, and you know, but again, it's gonna be stuff from 48 through the 50s, and some of the bigger cards again that I just couldn't buy on a regular basis that I can pick up and then you know start picking up some of the smaller stuff as I find them on eBay or wherever else along the way.
By the way, YouTube community, I had a senior moment because I asked the same question twice. You know,
Oh, that's okay. um,
I, I was just
yeah,
thinking, I asked him already that. Why is he going through it again? But you know, we have those moments. Plus, you gave a
no,
little
that's
bit
okay.
broader answer, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
great.
I gave some other stuff, but yeah, and to your point before about you know about like buying certain cards with people around you. It's like, yeah, I've never experienced that before, you know. So Strongsville is going to be different because everything I buy, I don't really get input or advice from anybody. It's just and I trust my own judgment, right? It's like I know what I'm looking for, and if
Right.
it's what I'm looking for, I'm going to buy it. Um, but it. I'm really looking forward to that, right? I'm really looking forward to the guys that I'm going to be hanging out with, and you know, when I'm looking at a certain card and thinking about it, they can help me and they can give me their 2 cents on what they think. And, you know, if I should continue to walk and think about it, or if I should pull the trigger and whatever else. And to your point, yes, it's going to make it a much more memorable card in my collection than it would be just buying off eBay, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's the camaraderie and the stuff that goes on there is what you're going to remember more than anything. I mean, you do get to see a bunch of cards, but you can go into Burbank card shop
Yeah,
alone and see almost. I mean, their card shop is a show.
it, it's
So,
incredible. Yeah. Yeah. And I
so
mean, I'm not, you know, hey, for me, like it would be for you, right?
yep.
There's no direct flights to Cleveland, you know, from San
Right.
Diego. So it's a direct flight, which, you know, ends up, or, I'm sorry, it's a connecting flight, which end up costing a little bit more, right? Direct flights are cheaper. And so, you know, it's like the cost of, if it was just about the show and looking at cards, I wouldn't be going, right? It's like,
Right.
you know, I think the hotel was $500 or $600, and the flight was $400, and you know whatever else the cost is going to be getting around and whatever. It's like, you know, by that time, I'd rather if it was about just going to the show itself for the cards, I'd rather take that 1,000 or 1,500 bucks and buy a nice card here. You know,
Yes.
it's about going and meeting all the guys and all my friends here in the community face to face and hanging out and all of that. That's what it's about. So, and if I find cards, great. And if I don't find cards and I come home with money, that's fine too. Like I want to find cards. I want to spend my money and buy the cards that I want, but I'm not just going to buy stuff to buy stuff, right? If it doesn't work or it doesn't fit, I'll just come home and I'll find stuff here, you know, but I still get to hang out with my friends and do all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, look at it's too good a time. And it was really interesting. It was a couple weeks ago. There was a show in the West Coast where Greg went down and showed all the people he met down there, which hopefully next year I can go. I'd love to go, and then you can come up and we can all
Yeah.
just get together because it sounded like a great show.
Yeah.
But you know, at that time there was a show going on. I want to say it was in Philadelphia, and there was
Yeah.
another show I want to say in New York, and one somewhere else. So there were other content creators at every one of those. There's
Yeah.
all these shows going on, and these groups of creators that were all meeting there together. So every place there was these groups going around, and now, like they were all saying, a guy can go to a show and go with people that I've become friends with, and it's even a better time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 100. That's what it's all about for me. It's like I can do without the shows, unless there's going to be friends there and people there
Right.
that I get to hang out with. It's like I'm content with buying off of eBay and doing the things the buying the way I've been buying for years. I'm content with that. But if there's going to be people at shows that I can meet and hang out with and stuff, then that makes it worth it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I've kept you for an hour. I don't want to keep you longer than
That's
that.
okay. Man, I don't know if you're going to get anybody to watch this thing because we did not show one card. Actually, you showed a couple, but that's about it.
Well, we probably should show some cards before we leave. Then we got to give. If you got cards there, let's see some. Because I've got cards here.
All right. Well, okay. Well, all I did, I mean, I just pulled out non-Hall of Famers. It's like cards that I buy of players
I
that
asked
are.
if you could do that, and you did. So that's so I definitely want to see it.
All right. Well, let's start with a big obvious one, and this is really the only, I think, 60s cards I have, or 60s card I have, of a non-Hall of Famer, but who will soon be in the Hall of Fame. But obviously,
That's still nice to see a Pete Rose card. Come on.
Yeah, 63 Pete Rose. I mean,
Nice.
when I have the opportunity to show it, I have to show it.
I got no problem with it.
But yeah, I think like I said, I don't think I have a lot of other stuff in the 60s. That's not Hall of Famers. Even in the 70s, not a whole lot in the 70s either. I mean, I have Thurman Munson, right? I have his rookie, right? So I have Thurman Munson's rookie.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful. That I find that hard. That's a 7. That looks like an 8. That thing is gorgeous.
I know. I don't know. I'm sure if it was raw and before grading ever came out, people would be saying, "Man, that's mint," But with grading and their standards, and then the same thing here, right? I have that Thurman Munson as well, and so
you know who the player is sliding in, don't you?
Ooh, you know what? I don't. He's on the Athletics, right?
It's a great trivia question because you would never get it. It's actually a pitcher. He pitched run. That's Pat Dobson.
Is that the Athletics?
Yes. So that's Oakland.
Oh.
And Pat Dobson came in as a pinch runner, and that's him. Probably the only time he's ever caught on. I think it's the only time he ever caught on a card beside where his pitcher was taken. But it's an interesting trivia question because you assume it's going to be one of the 8 fielders, right?
Or yeah. Well, and I have not heard. I am very, very impressed by your knowledge of just baseball and history, and I don't have that same knowledge. That I was actually a little bit worried coming on here. I'm like, Adam's going to be talking about all this stuff, and I'm just going to be sitting here, just like, yeah, just agreeing with you.
No. No, you do fine for yourself. It's all good.
Yeah,
I got a few years on you, dude. I've got a few more. I tell people all the time, I got a lot of useless information up here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's always good. It's always fun, right? It's fascinating to hear. And it's like a card I've seen a million times, but I've never in my mind ever even thought like, oh, who's this guy? Or to look it up. It's just like, oh, it's Thurman Munson. And that's all it is. I never paid attention who the player was.
Right.
So.
Right. And a lot of people don't. I've got them almost all graded, the 71 in action cards, because the first year Topps put in action cards. There's 52 of them in there.
Uh-huh.
And there's 2 biggies. One you just showed, the other one being the Ryan, but they're both attainable.
Yes. Yeah.
You can find copies for Thurman. I found them as low as $30 that were decent. And the Ryan, you got to probably look at 70, but you can get a decent one for 70 and then get it graded if you want. But I've got everything else.
The Ryan was one. Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
No. I'm just saying on those cards, I always try to guess who the other player is because that's just who I am.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I got to know.
That's great. I mean, more people should be that way, right? More people should be interested in what else is going on in the card than just the player who's in the card, and I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah, it's you got something else to show, and then I'm gonna show a few there.
Yeah, I can show whatever. Yeah, I mean, just going back to, well, let's go Steve Garvey, right? So Steve Garvey, he also he's a good TTMer as well, but I got, his rookie card, but he was a great player, obviously.
If you can
And
get a
then
7 or above in the 71s with SGC, God bless you. That's great.
yeah, I mean, I was seeking it out, trying to keep it in
Right.
the sevens. And then this is just a TTM, right? Going back to the Mag Pro labels as well, right? But there's just a TTM, Steve Garvey. He lives I think he lives in like Palm Springs area, so he lives like an hour from me. But he signed that, and then I do that little label, right? So my label, but you can't make it out. It says TTM Autos on the bottom.
Oh yeah, I do see it. Yeah.
So I'm putting all my TTM autos in that thing, but Steve Garvey, and then I mean, just a couple others. These are just basic, but Lou Whitaker. So Lou Whitaker was a great player.
He's got
And
the highest WAR of nobody that's somebody that should be in. He's got his WAR is above like about 8 guys at second base that are already in.
yeah,
It shouldn't take a committee. Like if you took, when I had John nerding
nerding out with cars.
on, I talked to him about this. If you go back and you don't say the names and you put these two players on the same line, you would think that B was as good or better. Now, but probably as good, but not maybe better, but as good.
Yeah.
And one got 95% and the other one got 5% and was off the bat in a couple years.
Yeah.
And I'm talking Ozzie Smith and Alan Trammell.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have taken Trammell to get in by a veterans committee when he put up the numbers. He was the only reason he didn't win more Golden Gloves is look at the shortstops he went against. There was a guy named Cal Ripken. It's hard to grab Gold Gloves away from that guy.
Yep.
Then you had Omar Vizquel, and you had many others that were just these. Derek Jeter won a few. So I think it's interesting to see on that. And Whitaker's the same way. When you put his numbers, it's like, why? What are they missing? What are they not seeing? What are they not understanding? I'm not saying that somebody deserves to be taken out, but when you look at somebody like that, like Jeff Kent, God bless him. I think he's a guy that I have no problem getting in. Why is he going in before Whitaker?
Yeah.
When Whitaker's numbers and his defensive numbers and his WAR numbers, his WAR is 22 above him or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So those are the only things. So I love seeing Lou Whitaker card because I think first of all, you can get a cheap rookie. If you want to get a rookie, get him now.
Yeah.
It's the same way. There's so many good rookies. I don't like the 4, but I try to always make sure I get the card right after the year after because I want their first solo card.
Yeah. Yeah. I love those too. And then the last card I'll show probably show in general, but I got a bunch of 80s and stuff, which we don't need to get into that. But just Dale Murphy, right? I mean, how has he not made it yet? But
you know why? He hit 398 instead of 400 home runs. If he hits 400, I think he's already in. I think for some reason they're just blinded by 2 whole home runs, but it's the same thing that happened with McGriff.
Yeah.
If McGriff would have hit 500 home runs, he only was 7 short, but if he'd have hit 500, he would have gotten in way sooner than he did.
Yeah.
He would have, because his numbers were there. He had the numbers. He just wasn't a flashy guy.
Yeah.
There's guys like that, right? Don Sutton and Nolan Ryan are the only 2 pitchers ever to play this game that have 300 wins, 3,000 strikeouts, and over 50 shutouts. And I can almost find Don Sutton cards in a damn common box, and I can't even buy a 1 in a Ryan. And yet, they're somewhat similar in their pitching. And I mean, Don Sutton has the record for longest. He went 19 years in a row with 10 wins or more. I mean,
does he have any? How many no hitters does Sutton have? Does he have
has
any?
none. That's the problem. No, he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It doesn't mean that I think Ryan's cards are out of whack or anything. It's just why aren't the other cards more like? Why is him and Necro and Fergie Jenkins and even Carlton to some extent? I can buy their rookies and second-year cards lot of times really cheap, and I shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
These guys are superstars, and yet it's an interesting dynamic the way the collecting world goes.
Yeah, definitely is. And I've never seen him play. I'm not the guy to have that argument with you, you know. So I'm just that guy that, like I said earlier, you're spitting all this knowledge, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You get me
But I
rolling
love it though. I mean,
sometimes.
I love listening to you talk, and I love your knowledge of the game and how you think. And you like, I could show any of these cards, and you would have a wealth of knowledge to share about them where I wouldn't. I just liked them playing. I like their cards. They're classic players and Hall of Fame players. Or well, no, actually, we're not talking about Hall of Fame players. Some of them should be,
But they're still somewhat iconic cards in reality.
yeah, yeah,
Because they're iconic to you or they're iconic to me. Like
yeah,
somebody might not care about a Manny Beniers card, but I'm a big Matty Beniers fan. He's
yeah,
one of my favorite hockey players.
yep.
So you don't want him, I do. And
Mhm.
your guy, I might not want, you want. So
Well, and that's great because you're getting this stuff for so cheap. You know what I mean? Like, it's you can have a lot of fun collecting it because you could buy almost as much as you want of it. For the most part. I'm sure there's a lot that you can't. But
yeah, I mean, when
it's
you're
it's a fun way to
talking
it's a fun way to collect.
when you're talking a lot of non-Hall of Famers that are good or maybe even close to being, you can put a player run of them together pretty quickly where, if you're going to start today, Jeff's going to start today, I'm going to do a Hank Aaron run. You're going to be doing that for a while.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be a while, right?
Oh yeah.
So, you just have to find where your lane is and where you fit. There are a lot of people who love collecting sets. There's a lot of people who love collecting player runs. There's people like you that like to collect just Hall of Famers. John P. Collects. He loves to collect Hall of Famers of a certain year.
Yep.
Mike Moynihan does that. So there's all these different ways that you can take a simple little collection and just go any way you want. And now with these Mag Pro labels, with what you're doing and what so many other people are doing, you can create your own anything. The world is at the palm of your hands. What a cool thing now in the way that we can collect.
Yeah, I agree. That's my favorite thing is being able to kind of categorize all these little collections that you collect, and you put them together with a Mag Pro label. And so what cards go together because of the Mag Pro label, And my other favorite thing is putting the information on the back of the Mag Pro. Like for instance, all my my 90s Jordan cards, there were thousands and thousands of inserts, and cards of Jordan in the 90s that even looking at the back, one, I can't read how small the print is. And I don't know, is it a 94, 95, 95, 96? I don't know what year it is. I don't know what set it's from. And so with the Mag Pros, I can look it up one time. I could put the information on the back, and that card lives in this Mag Pro where I turn it around and I have all the information on the back of the Mag Pro, and I know exactly what it is. So there's a lot of really great things about the Mag Pros, the labels that you can do.
Well, just the fact that, look, you can't send every card in for grading anyway. And what a great way to display them I've got these perfect boxes that are meant for Mag Pros, and graded cards that fit in. They're 400 count, just one. And I can stack them and just bring a box out and look at it anytime I want. That's what I do. I just rotate them like that, but they store really easily. And with the magnets, they'll even go through, they give you these little Mag Pro covers now, sleeves, that you can do, and the magnets will still work. So if you want to even do that to protect them, you can.
Yep. I have all mine in sleeves.
Yeah. If I have a graded card, it's in a sleeve. It's just what I do. I've always done. Even if I'm displaying them out behind me here, you can't see. I've got all these different display areas.
And it's funny how we do that. It's funny how we buy graded cards because they're protected, by the slab that they're in. But then we want to protect the slab. I mean, for obvious reasons, you don't want a scratched up slab, but it's like now we're protecting the slab, and so and then there's all these companies that have these like bigger slabs that you put your slab in that it's just like, where does it end?
Well, we need Mike Baker to make us a sticker to put on the Mag Pro sleeve to tell us that it's a gold Mag Pro and maybe a silver Mag Pro.
Yeah, we do.
Don't
get me started on that.
No, I look at, I listened to a couple rants that were epic and beautifully done. One by Mike Petty, which I will pay to listen to that guy rant about something. He's like my favorite when he just goes off, when he just
Yeah.
loses it and
Yeah.
goes off. It's pretty
Yeah.
hilarious. But
Yeah, I've always thought that sticker thing was ridiculous, and I don't know how anybody have ever bought into that.
well, the problem is you're letting another person add value to a card, and the people
Yeah.
that are selling are like, yippee. But there comes a point where even as collectors, we all have a breaking point. We're like, I can't spend that kind of money. If
Yeah.
you're going to put stickers and everything and raise even prices up above when I could have bought that card without the sticker for 3 times less just a year ago, but because you did put that damn sticker on it, it's now all this money. It's
Yeah.
like it's hurting it just takes that many more cards out of commission for people like me to collect. And I know
Yeah.
that's a petty little thing. I don't understand why we're adding stickers to already graded cards. Like,
Yeah,
how many people do we trust?
Yeah, it makes zero. I understand why there are people that think it makes sense, but it literally doesn't make sense. Like it's just like I get grading. I think grading makes sense. I'm not a huge fan of like all the inconsistencies and all that kind of stuff, but I think their grading makes sense in most cases, right? But yeah, I mean, above and beyond that, the sticker thing, give me a break.
Yeah. Well, we'll end on that note since that's the way to end.
I like it. Yeah, we'll end there.
But again, to everybody out there, thank you, Jeff. I always appreciate your friendship. Means the world to me. I mean, doing those labels for me was awesome. But
Same.
we will definitely do this again. But
Yeah,
have fun.
we've been talking a
Enjoy
lot.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. And yeah, we've been talking a lot, recently and stuff, but it's nice to actually sit here and, look face to face and talk and chat and all that good stuff.
I mean, that's the cool thing about this and the StreamYard is that you can just have chat sessions too. You don't need to do a show if you don't want to. There's many people out there getting together and just, coming together and doing these kind of things. So it's going to open a world of opportunities just to create more friendships. So that's always good.
Yeah. So,
all right, buddy. Well, thank you. And
thank you
to everybody. Thanks for joining us and hope you enjoy it. We'll talk to you later.
Guys.